Turning now to look then at bakery, sugar again has many functions in different bakery products. Again, taste and sweetness and taste modulation, but also in terms of processability or handling. For example, dough rheology and batter rheology can be critically dependent on sugar. Reducing sugar, say in a product that's baked from a batter, can affect volume, can affect the self-leveling and rheology and viscosity of the batter. Sugar is critical, for example, in fermented bakery applications, and it can even be critical to final texture via an effect on gluten softening, for example, in biscuit applications. Also for bakery, it's important to keep in mind there's a broad range of ancillary products that are used in bakery applications, such as toppings, finishings, fillings, glazing agents, so things like cream alternatives, fillings, bake-stable fillings, all of which also are critically dependent on sugar, often for their organoleptic and functional properties. So if you were to consider the challenges of reducing sugar in bakery, we're talking about challenges of taste, process, texture, shelf life. And there are a number of different approaches by which the functional and organoleptic properties of sugar can be built back into these products through a rational formulation approach. So for taste, sweeteners and flavor modulators can be used, but it's important to mention, particularly in Europe and UK, there are regulations that prohibit the use of high-intensity sweeteners in stevia, where they're restricted to the use in products that are no added sugar. So the palette of flavor modulators or sugar replacers may be more limited to people formulating in the bakery sector. For processability to control, for example, batter or dough rheology, starches, polysaccharides and fibers can be used. For texture and volume of finished products, emulsifier systems and structurants such as protein can be used. And for shelf life, again, where shelf life can be quite a challenge, particularly for packaged bakery goods, which may have an extended shelf life, we need effective ways to deliver mold-free shelf life. And again, blends of humectants, texturant fibers, or clean label preservation systems can replace the shelf life extension effects of sugar. And on the table we can see the various functional attributes that sugar is contributing to bakery, such as texture, dough and batter rheology, shelf life, bake stability, and you can see that you would, if you wanted to match all of those functionalities, you would need to use multiple technology solutions to build back the full functionality, depending on the degree of sugar that has been replaced in the product. Looking now at the functionality of sugar in chilled and frozen desserts, again, taste is critical, and sugar can modulate dairy and fruit flavors, which are typical in that sector. Sugar is also critical in frozen desserts for freezing point depression and the control of ice crystal formation. That's true for the dairy-based white mass, say in an ice cream or a chilled cheesecake, but it's also true in sauces and variegates that would be used in an ice cream. When sugar is reduced in those and the freezing point increases, often you would end up moving from a soft, unctuous mouthfeel of a sauce to a more glass-like, brittle texture that would be unacceptable to the consumer. Also, in terms of components, controlling water activity is a clean label preservation benefit that sugar delivers. So again, looking at sugar reduction in chilled and frozen desserts, we're looking to replace the taste aspect and delivery of sugar, but we also need to consider freezing point, shelf life and texture. And again, there's a number of technology approaches that can be adopted to allow those functionalities to be rebalanced and replaced. So texture systems, humectants, polysaccharides, fibers, gum-based carbohydrates and proteins can control freezing point and water activity and can also therefore also help shelf life. Texture can be controlled and built back utilizing fiber, protein and hydrocolloid gel systems. Again, looking at the table of the various functionalities that sugar is delivering in chilled and frozen desserts, again we can see that to address all of those functionalities, depending on the degree of sugar reduction targeted, often a multi-technology system approach would be needed to deliver a fully matched product when formulating a sugar-reduced version of that product. Turning to beverages, again, sugar is critical in terms of taste and sweetness. If you take the examples of coffee, which is typically get quite a bitter taste, sugar is contributing sweetness, but is also importantly masking some of the bitter notes of coffee to give a more balanced and consumer-preferred flavour. Texture is often singled out as being one of the biggest challenges for sugar reduction in beverages in terms of the mouthfeel of the beverage. And that then impacts the mouthfeel for the consumer. In terms of how we can replace the functional benefits of sugar, again, there's a variety of sugar replacers, polyols, flavor modulators, stevia glycosides, which can build back sugar, but often a more tailored and subtle approach in terms of flavor design may be necessary to again rebalance the flavor fully. Texture, mouthfeel, and appearance can be rebalanced using a mixture of polysaccharides, gums, fibers, proteins. And appearance, I think, is interesting. It's maybe overlooked for beverage. If we think about desserts or bakery, we think about volume, about a strong visual appeal of the finished product to the consumer. But thinking also of products like blended ice, cocktail-based drinks, sugar contributes substantially to shine and gloss and can actually control the melting profile of blending ice. So we need to consider the aesthetic, the visual impact that sugar has, and that can be built back in using hydrocolloids, using ingredients with a refractive index in solution to replace the aesthetic visual benefits that sugar is delivering. So again, in the table, we're showing various functional aspects of sugar, from sweetness, texture, shine, gloss, the melting profile of a blended ice drink. And again, you can see that various technologies would be needed in combination for a significant sugar reduction to replace all of the functionalities that sugar is delivering in the finished product.